Sienna Martinez wiped down the last table at the Bluebell Diner as the clock struck midnight. Her feet ached, her back hurt, and she still had to count the tips before going home. She had been working since 6 in the morning, covering both the breakfast and dinner shifts. The other waitress had called in sick again, which meant more work for Sienna but also more tips. She needed every dollar she could get. The diner was empty now except for old Frank in the kitchen washing the last of the pots. Through the window, Sienna could see the main street of Redemption, Texas. The town was small, just a few thousand people, and everyone knew everyone else's business. That was the problem. Sienna counted her tips. $43. Not bad for a Thursday. She added it to the envelope she kept in her bag, the one marked payment. Inside was $217 now. She needed $300 by Monday. Her stomach twisted with worry. Where would she find the rest? She said goodnight to Frank and stepped out into the warm Texas night. Her old car sat alone in the parking lot, the paint faded and one taillight broken. She had owned it since she was 18, back when life was different. Back when people in town smiled at her instead of whispering when she walked by. The drive home took 10 minutes. Sienna lived with her mother in a small house on the edge of town. The house needed painting. The fence leaned to one side. The yard was full of weeds. Sienna tried to keep up with everything, but there was never enough time or money. Her mother was asleep when Sienna got home. She checked on her quietly. Maria Martinez looked older than her 57 years. The stress had aged her. The shame had aged her. She slept with her mouth slightly open, her breathing soft and steady. Sienna pulled the blanket up to her mother's chin and kissed her forehead. In her own small room, Sienna sat on the bed and pulled out the envelope again. She stared at the money. 3 years ago, her father had disappeared. Just like that. One day he was there, the next day gone. He left behind a note that said, "I'm sorry," and debts that Sienna was still discovering. The worst debt was to a man named Victor Reyes. Victor was not the kind of man you borrowed money from unless you were desperate. Sienna's father had been desperate. He had a gambling problem that the family didn't know about until it was too late. He had borrowed $15,000 from Victor. With interest, that debt had grown to $25,000 over 3 years. Sienna had been paying Victor $300 every week for 3 years. She had paid him nearly $50,000 already, but Victor said the debt was still $25,000. The interest kept growing. The amount never went down. Sienna was trapped in a cycle that never ended. The worst part was not the money. The worst part was what the town thought of her. People talked. They said she was just like her father. They said she was a liar and a cheat. They said she deserved what she got. Some people in town started calling her Sin instead of Sienna. It was meant to hurt, and it did. At church, women pulled their daughters away from her. At the grocery store, people avoided standing in line behind her. At the diner, some customers refused to let her serve them. They asked for a different waitress. The owner, Mrs. Chen, was kind enough to keep Sienna employed, but even Mrs. Chen looked at her with pity. Sienna had one friend left in town. Her name was Rosa, and they had been friends since elementary school. Rosa worked at the library and lived with her grandmother. She was the only person who still treated Sienna like a normal human being. "You should leave," Rosa told her once. "Just pack up and go. Start over somewhere else," but Sienna couldn't leave. Her mother was here. Her mother's doctor was here. And if Sienna left, Victor would go after her mother. He had made that very clear. Sienna lay in bed but could not sleep. She thought about her father. She was angry at him, but she also missed him. He had been a good father when she was young. He taught her to ride a bike. He made her laugh. He called her his little sunshine. Where was that man now? Was he alive? Did he ever think about what he had left behind? The next morning came too soon. Sienna was back at the diner by 6, putting on her apron and forcing a smile. Friday mornings were busy with the breakfast crowd. Ranchers came in for coffee and eggs before heading out to work. Truck drivers stopped for fuel and food. Families came in before the kids went to school. Sienna took orders, poured coffee, and delivered plates of food. She smiled and said thank you, even when customers were rude. She pretended not to hear the whispers. She pretended not to see the looks. At the corner booth, 3 men sat drinking coffee. Sienna recognized 2 of them. They worked for Victor. Her heart started beating faster. They came to the diner sometimes, always sitting where she could see them, always watching her. It was their way of reminding her that they were never far away. One of the men, Carlos, waved her over. Sienna took a deep breath and walked to their table. "More coffee?" she asked, her voice steady even though her hands wanted to shake. "Victor wants to see you," Carlos said quietly. "Monday. Don't be late with the payment." "I won't be late," Sienna said. "You better not be. Last time you were short $50. Victor was not happy, Sienna remembered. She had been $20 short, not 50, but she did not correct him. There was no point. These men did not care about the truth. Carlos leaned back in the booth and smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "You know, Sin, this could all go away. Victor likes you. He could forget the debt. All you have to do is be nice to him." Sienna felt sick. This was not the first time Carlos had suggested this. Victor was in his 50s, married and cruel. The thought of being nice to him made Sienna want to cry. "I'll have the money Monday," she said and walked away. The rest of the day passed slowly. Sienna's mind was far away, calculating and worrying. She had $217. She needed 83 more by Monday. She could pick up the Saturday night shift. That might give her another $60 or $70 in tips. She would still be short. Maybe she could sell something. But she had already sold her laptop, her TV, and her grandmother's jewelry. There was nothing left to sell except the car, and she needed the car to get to work. At 3 in the afternoon, the lunch crowd died down. Sienna was wiping down tables when the diner door opened. A man walked in. He was tall, maybe in his early 30s, with dark hair under a cowboy hat. He wore jeans, boots, and a simple button-up shirt. He looked like a rancher, but Sienna did not recognize him. The man sat at the counter. Sienna walked over with a menu and a glass of water. "Welcome to Bluebell Diner," she said with her practiced smile. "What can I get you?" The man looked up at her. He had kind eyes, gray-blue like a stormy sky. He smiled back, and it was a real smile. "Coffee, please. And what's good here?" "The chicken fried steak is popular. So is the meatloaf." "I'll have the meatloaf then. Thank you." Sienna wrote down the order and brought him his coffee. The man said thank you again. He had good manners. He did not stare at her. He did not whisper to anyone. He just drank his coffee and looked out the window at the street. When Sienna brought his food, he thanked her a third time. When he finished eating, he left a $10 tip on a $15 meal. Sienna stared at the money. Most people in town left her $1 or nothing at all. The man in the cowboy hat paid at the register and tipped his hat to Mrs. Chen. As he walked out, he held the door open for an elderly woman coming in. Then he was gone, climbing into a dusty pickup truck and driving away. Sienna picked up the $10 tip and added it to her envelope. $227 now. She was getting closer. But as she looked out the window at the empty street, she wondered who the stranger was and why he had been so kind. Cole Brennan drove down the main street of Redemption and felt nothing. That was good. He had been feeling nothing for almost 2 years now, and it was easier that way. Feeling things hurt too much. The town was small and quiet. Perfect. Cole wanted quiet. He wanted a place where nobody knew him. Nobody asked questions, and nobody expected anything from him. Redemption, Texas seemed like that kind of place. He had taken a job at Riverside Ranch, just 10 miles outside of town. The owner, an old man named Dutch Patterson, needed help with the horses. Cole knew horses. He had spent 15 years on the rodeo circuit, riding bulls and breaking broncos. He had been good at it. He had won championships. He had made money. Then he had thrown it all away in one terrible night. Cole pushed the thought away. He did not let himself think about that night. Not anymore. That was the old Cole. The new Cole just worked hard, kept to himself, and moved on when people started asking questions. The ranch was old but well-maintained. Dutch was in his 70s, a widower who loved his horses more than anything. He had 20 horses on the property, and his knees were too bad to train them properly anymore. That was where Cole came in. "You got experience?" Dutch had asked during the phone interview. "Yes, sir." 15 years. You got references?" "No, sir. I've been off the circuit for a while." There was a pause. Then Dutch said, "Can you start Monday?" That was 3 days ago. Now Cole was settling into the small cabin on the ranch property. It had one room, a tiny kitchen, and a bathroom that barely fit a shower. It was perfect. Cole did not need much. He had stopped at the diner in town because Dutch told him it was the best food around. The meatloaf was good. But what Cole noticed more was the waitress. She looked tired. Not just physically tired, but tired in her soul. He recognized that look because he saw it in the mirror every morning. She was pretty in a quiet way. Dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. Brown eyes that looked sad even when she smiled. She moved through the diner like she was carrying a heavy weight that nobody else could see. Cole had left her a big tip because she looked like she needed it. That was all. He was not looking for friends or conversation. He was just trying to be decent. The next few days, Cole threw himself into work. He woke up at 5, fed the horses, cleaned the stables, and started training by 7. Dutch had 3 young horses that needed breaking. Cole was patient with them, gentle but firm. Horses responded to him. They always had. "You're good at this," Dutch said on Wednesday morning, watching Cole work with a nervous mare. "Thank you, sir." "Where'd you learn?" "Here and there," Cole said, which was not really an answer. Dutch did not push. That was one thing Cole liked about the old man. He did not ask too many questions. By Friday afternoon, Cole was covered in dust and sweat. He needed food and a shower, probably in that order. He drove back into town and found himself at the Bluebell Diner again. He told himself it was because the food was good. That was the only reason. The same waitress was there. She looked just as tired as before, maybe more tired. She brought him water and a menu without really looking at him. "Coffee?" she asked. "Please. And I'll have the chicken fried steak this time." She wrote it down and walked away. Cole watched her move between tables. Some customers were rude to her. One man snapped his fingers to get her attention like she was a dog. She handled it all with patience, but Cole could see the strain in her shoulders. When she brought his food, Cole said, "Thank you. What's your name?" She looked surprised. "Sienna. I'm Cole, just started working at Riverside Ranch." "Oh, Dutch's place. He's a good man." "Seems like it." Sienna hesitated, like she wanted to say something else, but then another customer called for her. She hurried away. Cole ate his dinner slowly, watching the diner. It was a Friday night, so it was busier. Families, couples, groups of teenagers. Everyone seemed to know each other. Small-town life. But Cole noticed something odd. People whispered when Sienna walked by. They looked at her with expressions that were not friendly. One woman actually turned her back when Sienna approached her table, forcing another waitress to take the order. Sienna pretended not to notice, but Cole saw the hurt flash across her face. What had she done to make people treat her like that? She seemed kind. She worked hard. Cole did not understand. He left another big tip and went back to the ranch. But he kept thinking about Sienna and the way people looked at her. It reminded him of how people looked at him back home in Montana after the accident, like he was garbage, like he did not deserve to breathe the same air as decent people. Cole worked at the ranch 6 days a week. On his day off Sunday, he usually stayed in his cabin and read or slept. But this Sunday, he felt restless. He drove into town and walked around. There was not much to see. A hardware store, a feed store, a small grocery, a church at the end of Main Street. The church doors were open and people were leaving after the service. Cole stood across the street and watched. He used to go to church with his family, before the accident, before his brother ended up in a wheelchair, before Cole became someone his family could barely look at. Sienna came out of the church with an older woman who must be her mother. They walked slowly toward an old car in the parking lot. A group of women stood nearby talking. When Sienna and her mother passed, the women stopped talking and stared. One of them said something Cole could not hear and the others laughed. Sienna kept her head up and kept walking. Her mother looked like she might cry. They got in the car and drove away. Cole felt anger rise in his chest. He had not felt anger in a long time. He had not let himself feel much of anything. But watching those women treat Sienna and her mother like dirt made him angry. He went to the diner on Monday, and Tuesday, and Wednesday. He started eating there almost every day. He told himself it was convenient. It was on the way back from the ranch. The food was good, but really he wanted to see if Sienna was okay. They started talking a little bit, small talk at first. The weather. How was work? Nothing deep. But Cole could tell Sienna was warming up to him. She smiled more when she saw him. Real smiles, not the fake ones she gave everyone else. On Thursday night, the diner was nearly empty. Cole sat at the counter finishing his coffee. Sienna was wiping down tables. There was only one other waitress working, a younger girl who spent most of her time on her phone. 3 men walked into the diner. Cole recognized the type immediately. Troublemakers. They wore expensive clothes but carried themselves like thugs. They sat in a booth and one of them whistled at Sienna. "Hey, Sin." "Come here." Cole saw Sienna freeze. "Just for a second." Then she took a breath and walked over to their table. "What can I get you?" she asked. "Victor wants his money," one of the men said. "You got it?"
I'll have it Monday.
"Like always. Monday's getting old. Maybe you should pay more often. Twice a week instead of once." "That's not what we agreed." The man leaned forward. "We can agree to whatever Victor says. You understand?" Sienna's hands were shaking. Cole could see them from where he sat. "I understand," she said quietly. "Good girl. Now bring us coffee." Sienna walked back to the counter. Her face was pale. She poured coffee, but her hands shook so badly that she spilled some. Cole reached out and steadied the pot. "You okay?" he asked quietly. "I'm fine," she said, but she was not fine. She brought the coffee to the men. They talked loudly, laughing about things that were not funny. Cole watched them and felt his anger growing. These were the kind of men who hurt people and enjoyed it. After 30 minutes, the men left without paying. Sienna did not try to stop them. She just cleared their table silently. Her shoulders slumped. Cole paid his bill and left his usual big tip. As he was leaving, he turned back. "Sienna, if you ever need help with anything, let me know." She looked at him with surprise and something else. "Hope, maybe?" "Why would you help me?" "You don't even know me." "I know enough," Cole said. "And everybody needs help sometimes." He left before she could respond. But as he drove back to the ranch, he felt something he had not felt in 2 years. Purpose. Like maybe he was supposed to be in this town for a reason. Like maybe helping Sienna was that reason. The next day, Friday, Cole finished work early. Dutch had gone to visit his daughter in Austin for the weekend. Cole was alone at the ranch. He should have been happy about that. Alone was safe. Alone meant no one could get hurt, but he found himself driving to town again. To the diner. It was 8 o'clock on a Friday night and the place was busy. Cole sat at the counter and waited for Sienna. She came over with a tired smile. "You're here late," she said. "Got done early. Thought I'd get dinner." She brought him a menu, but Cole did not really look at it. He was watching the door. He had a bad feeling. Those men from yesterday had made it clear they were not done with Sienna. Men like that always came back, and he was right. At 9 o'clock, 2 of the men from yesterday came back. They sat in the same booth, but this time they were drinking. Cole could smell the alcohol from across the room. They were louder, meaner. When Sienna brought them coffee, one of them grabbed her wrist. "Sit down, Sin. Talk to us." "I'm working," Sienna said, trying to pull away. "We said sit down." Cole was on his feet before he realized it. He walked over to the booth. "Let her go." The man looked up at him. "Who the hell are you? Someone telling you to let her go." Sienna could not sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw those men in the diner, and Cole standing up to them. Part of her was grateful. No one had stood up for her in 3 years. But another part was terrified. Cole did not understand what he had done. He did not know Victor Reyes or how dangerous he could be. Saturday morning came too soon. Sienna dragged herself out of bed and got ready for work. Her mother was in the kitchen making coffee. "You look tired, mija," Maria said. "I'm okay, Mama. You work too hard. You need to rest." Sienna kissed her mother's cheek. "I'll rest when we're free of this debt." Her mother's face fell. They both knew freedom was a long way off, maybe impossible. At the diner, Sienna tried to focus on work, but her mind kept wandering. She kept thinking about Cole. He had kind eyes, a quiet strength. He made her feel safe, and she had not felt safe in so long. But she could not let him get involved. She could not let him get hurt because of her. Around noon, Cole walked in. Sienna's heart jumped. He sat at his usual spot at the counter and smiled at her. "How are you today?" he asked. "I'm fine. You?" "Good. Hungry, though." Sienna brought him a menu, but he waved it away. "Just surprise me. Whatever you think is good." She brought him the pot roast special. While he ate, the diner was busy with the lunch crowd. Sienna did not have much time to talk, but every time she passed Cole, she felt his eyes on her. Not in a creepy way, in a protective way. When the lunch rush died down, Cole was still there. He ordered coffee and pie. Sienna sat down next to him for a moment. Her feet hurt from running around all morning. Can I ask you something? Cole said. Sienna tensed. Okay, those men last night. They called you Sin. Why? Sienna looked down at her hands. She did not want to tell him. She did not want to see his face change when he learned the truth. Everyone in town already thought the worst of her. She did not want Cole to think that way too. It's a long story, she said. I got time. Sienna took a deep breath. My father owed money to some bad people. He ran away 3 years ago and left my mother and me to deal with it. The debt was his, but I'm the one paying it. The town blames me. They call me Sin because I'm paying for my father's sins. Cole was quiet for a moment. How much does he owe? He borrowed $15,000. With interest, they say it's $25,000 now. I've been paying $300 a week for 3 years. That's over $45,000. But the debt never goes down. That's not legal. I know. But the man I owe money to doesn't care about legal. Victor Reyes. Sienna looked at him with surprise. How do you know that name? I heard those men say it, and I asked around town a little. Victor runs things around here. Gambling, loans, probably other stuff too. He's dangerous, Cole. You shouldn't have gotten involved. Cole turned to look at her fully. Too late. I'm already involved. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to figure out exactly how much you owe and to who. Then we're going to find a way to end this. It's not that simple. Maybe not. But doing nothing isn't working either. Sienna wanted to argue. But the truth was, Cole was right. She had been trapped in this cycle for 3 years. She would be trapped forever unless something changed. Why do you want to help me? She asked. Cole looked away. Let's just say I know what it's like to carry guilt that isn't yours to carry. Before Sienna could ask what he meant, Mrs. Chen called her back to work. But Cole's words stayed with her. He understood. Somehow this stranger understood her pain in a way no one else did. That night after her shift ended, Cole was waiting for her in the parking lot. Sienna saw his truck and felt a mix of fear and relief. I'll follow you home, he said. Make sure you get there safe. You don't have to do that. I know, but I'm going to anyway. Sienna drove home with Cole's headlights in her rearview mirror. It had been so long since someone looked after her. It felt strange, but it also felt good. The next few days passed quickly. Cole came to the diner every day. They talked more. He told her about working at the ranch, about Dutch and the horses. He did not talk much about his past, and Sienna did not push. Everyone had secrets. On Wednesday night, Sienna got a phone call. It was Carlos, one of Victor's men. Victor wants to see you, Carlos said. Tomorrow night. 10 o'clock. Come to the warehouse on Route 7. Why? I have payment on Monday like always. Victor wants to talk. Don't be late, Carlos hung up. Sienna sat on her bed, her hands shaking. Victor never wanted to talk. This was bad. She called Cole. She did not even think about it. She just needed to hear his voice. Sienna, what's wrong? She told him about the call. Cole was quiet for a moment. I'm coming with you, he said. No, it's too dangerous. Then you're not going alone. Either I come with you or you don't go at all. If I don't go, he'll come after my mother. Then I'm definitely coming. Sienna wanted to argue, but she was too scared. Okay, she whispered. Thursday night came too soon. Cole picked Sienna up at 9:30. They drove in silence to the warehouse on Route 7. It was an old building that Victor used for his business. Whatever that business was, it was not legal. There were 2 cars already there. Cole parked and turned to Sienna. Stay close to me. Don't agree to anything. We listen to what he has to say, then we leave. Sienna nodded. Her mouth was dry. They got out of the truck and walked to the warehouse door. Carlos was waiting. Who's this? Carlos asked, looking at Cole. A friend, Sienna said. Victor didn't say to bring friends. Victor didn't say not to. Cole replied calmly. Carlos glared at him, but opened the door. Inside, the warehouse was mostly empty except for some boxes and old equipment. Victor sat in a chair in the middle of the room like a king on a throne. He was a big man over 6 feet tall with gray hair and cold eyes. 2 more men stood behind him. Sienna, Victor said, smiling. And you brought the cowboy. How interesting. You wanted to talk, Sienna said, trying to keep her voice steady. Yes. I've been thinking. You've been paying your father's debt for 3 years. You're a good daughter. Loyal. I respect that. Thank you. But I'm tired of waiting for my money. So here's my new offer. You come work for me. Run some errands. Make some deliveries. Do that and your debt goes away. Sienna's stomach turned. She knew what kind of errands Victor meant. Drug deliveries, money pickups, illegal things that could get her arrested. No, she said. Victor's smile faded. No, I'll keep paying what I've been paying. But I won't do that. Victor stood up. He was even bigger standing. You think you can say no to me? Cole stepped forward, placing himself between Sienna and Victor. She just did. And who are you to speak here? Someone who knows you've been scamming her. She's paid you $45,000 on a $15,000 loan. That debt should be long gone, Victor laughed. You think you understand how this works, Cowboy? I understand enough. I also understand that what you're doing is illegal. Loan sharking, extortion, I bet the sheriff would be interested. The sheriff is my cousin, Victor said. Try again. Cole did not flinch. Then maybe the state police. Or the FBI? I'm sure they'd love to know what goes on in this warehouse. The room got very quiet. Victor's face turned red. The men behind him moved forward, but Victor held up his hand. You're playing a dangerous game, Victor said to Cole. No. You are. And it's going to end. Victor looked at Sienna. Is this what you want? To let this stranger fight your battles. Sienna stepped forward, standing next to Cole. I want to be free of you. Whatever it takes. Victor stared at them for a long moment. Then he smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. Get out. Both of you. But this isn't over. Not even close. Cole took Sienna's arm and led her out. They did not run, but they walked fast. Once they were in the truck, Cole drove away quickly. Sienna was shaking. That was stupid. We should not have said those things. Maybe. But it needed to be said. He's going to come after us now. Let him try. They drove in silence for a while. Then Sienna said quietly, Thank you. For what? For standing with me. For making me feel like I'm not alone. Cole looked at her. In the dim light of the dashboard, his eyes were soft. You're not alone. Not anymore. When they got to Sienna's house, Cole walked her to the door. Lock everything. If anything happens, call me immediately. I will. I mean it, Sienna. Anything. She nodded. Then, without thinking, she hugged him. Cole was surprised, but he hugged her back. He was warm and solid, safe. We'll figure this out, he said quietly. Sienna wanted to believe him, but as she watched him drive away, she felt fear creeping back in. Victor was not a man who forgot. He was not a man who forgave. They had made an enemy tonight, but they had also made a choice. To stand up. To fight back. And for the first time in 3 years, Sienna felt a tiny spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, there was a way out of this darkness. And maybe Cole was the light she had been waiting for. The next morning, Sienna woke to someone banging on her door. She ran to answer it, her heart pounding. But it was not Victor's men. It was Rosa, her friend from the library. Sienna, are you okay? I heard something happen last night. How did you hear? Small town. People talk. They're saying you went to see Victor with some cowboy. They're saying you're going to get yourself killed. Sienna pulled Rosa inside and told her everything. About Cole, about the confrontation, about standing up to Victor. Rosa listened with wide eyes. You're either very brave or very crazy. Probably both. Cole spent Friday morning working with the horses, but his mind was somewhere else. He kept thinking about Victor and the warehouse. He had made things worse for Sienna. He knew that. Victor was not the kind of man who backed down from a challenge, but Cole also knew he could not walk away now. Sienna needed help, and for the first time in 2 years, Cole felt like he was doing something that mattered, something good. Around noon, Dutch came out to the training ring. Got a minute? He asked. Sure. Cole tied the horse he was working with and walked over. Dutch looked at him carefully. I heard you had some trouble in town last night. Cole should have known word would travel fast. Nothing I couldn't handle. Victor Reyes is not nothing, son. He's dangerous, I know, that Martinez girl. You sweet on her? Cole hesitated. I'm trying to help her. That's all? Dutch nodded slowly. Her daddy left her in a bad spot. Whole town turned on her for something that wasn't her fault. Shame, really. She's a good girl. Then why doesn't anyone help her? Because Victor scares people. He's got his hands in everything. The sheriff, the mayor, half the businesses in town. People who cross Victor tend to have accidents. Are you telling me to back off? No, I'm telling you to be careful. And to be smart. Dutch paused. I got a friend in Austin. Used to be a lawyer before he retired. Good man. Might be willing to look at Sienna's situation. If you're serious about helping her. Cole felt a rush of gratitude. I'd appreciate that. I'll give him a call. His name is Ray Torres, but Cole, you better know what you're getting into. Once you start this fight, there's no going back. I know. Dutch nodded and walked away. Cole went back to work, but he felt lighter. Maybe there was a way to help Sienna legally. Maybe they could beat Victor at his own game. That evening, Cole went to the diner. Sienna was there, but she looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. Her hands shaking slightly as she poured coffee. You okay? Cole asked when she brought him water. I'm fine. You're a terrible liar. Sienna tried to smile but failed. Can we talk after my shift? There's something I need to tell you. Of course. Cole ate his dinner slowly, watching Sienna work. Something was wrong. He could feel it. When her shift ended at 9, they sat in Cole's truck in the parking lot. Sienna stared at her hands. They came to my house today, she said quietly. Victor's men. While I was at work. They talked to my mother. Cole felt anger surge through him. What did they say? They told her that if I don't pay double next week, they're going to hurt her. $600. I don't have $600. That's extortion, I know. But what can I do? I can't let them hurt my mother. Cole reached over and took her hand. Listen to me. Dutch knows a lawyer in Austin. His name is Ray Torres. We're going to call him tomorrow and see if he can help. A lawyer costs money. Let me worry about that. Right now, we need to document everything. Every payment you've made, every threat they've made, every conversation. Can you do that? Sienna nodded. I kept records. I wrote down every payment for 3 years. I have dates and amounts. Good, that's good. We can use that. Cole, why are you doing this? You barely know me, Cole looked at her. In the dim light of the parking lot, she looked so small and scared, but also brave. She had been fighting this battle alone for 3 years and had not given up. I told you before, everyone needs help sometimes. He paused. And maybe I need this too. Maybe helping you helps me. What do you mean? Cole had not planned to tell her. But sitting there in the dark with her hand in his, it felt like the right time. 2 years ago, I was driving drunk. I hit another car. My younger brother was with me. He was hurt bad. Broke his back. He's in a wheelchair now. It was my fault. Sienna squeezed his hand. Cole, I ran away after that. Couldn't face him. Couldn't face my family. I've been moving from town to town ever since. Working at ranches. Keeping my head down. Trying to forget. Is that why you came here? Yeah, but meeting you, I don't know. Maybe I'm tired of running. Maybe it's time to stand and fight for something. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Sienna said, I'm sorry about your brother. But what happened to him wasn't your fault alone. You made a mistake. A bad one. But you're not a bad person. You don't know that. Yes, I do. A bad person would have walked away when those men grabbed me at the diner. A bad person would not have stood up to Victor. You're a good man, Cole Brennan. You just don't see it yet. Cole felt something crack inside his chest. A wall he had built around himself. Sienna's words reached a part of him that had been frozen for 2 years. Thank you, he said quietly. They sat together a little longer, neither wanting to break the moment. Finally, Sienna said, I should get home. Check on my mother. I'll follow you. You don't have to. I want to. Cole followed Sienna to her house. He waited until she was inside with the lights on. Then he drove back to the ranch. But he did not sleep well. He kept thinking about Victor's men threatening Sienna's mother. He kept thinking about how far Victor might go. The next morning, Saturday, Cole called Ray Torres. Dutch had already spoken to him, so Ray was expecting the call. Dutch tells me you need help with a loan shark situation, Ray said. Cole explained everything. The debt, the payments, the threats. Ray listened without interrupting. This is a clear case of loan sharking and extortion, Ray said when Cole finished. What Victor is doing is illegal. The problem is proving it and finding someone willing to act on it. The sheriff is Victor's cousin. Of course he is. That's how these operations work. They have protection. But the state police are different. And the FBI handles organized crime. If we can show a pattern of illegal activity, we might be able to get them interested. What do we need? Documentation. Records of payments. Recordings if possible. Testimony from other victims. This can't just be about one girl and one debt. We need to show that Victor is running a criminal organization. How long will that take? Weeks, maybe months. These investigations take time. Cole felt frustrated. We don't have months. He's threatening to hurt people now. Ray sighed. Then we need to move fast. And we need to be smart. Can you get me those payment records? Yes, good, get them to me. I'll start making calls, but Cole, you and this girl need to be very careful. Men like Victor don't play by rules. I understand. After hanging up, Cole drove to the diner. Sienna was working the morning shift. He waved her over. The lawyer wants your payment records. All of them. I have them at home. I can bring them tonight. Good. And Sienna? We need to find other people Victor has hurt. Other victims who might be willing to talk. That's going to be hard. People are scared. I know. But we have to try. Over the next few days, Cole and Sienna worked together. Sienna brought him her records. 3 years of payments, carefully documented. The numbers were clear. She had paid Victor over $45,000, and he still claimed she owed $25,000. They also started asking around town quietly. Rosa helped. She talked to people at the library. Slowly names came up. Other people who owed Victor money. Other families trapped in the same cycle. But everyone was afraid to talk. Victor had eyes everywhere. Speaking out meant danger. On Tuesday night, Cole was at the diner when Victor himself walked in. He looked around slowly, his eyes landing on Cole. Then he walked over and sat down across from him. We need to talk, Victor said. Cole kept his face neutral. About what? About you and Sienna. About you sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. I'm just trying to help a friend. No, you're trying to be a hero, and heroes in this town end up hurt. Is that a threat? Victor smiled. That's a fact. See, I've been asking about you. Cole Brennan, former rodeo star, left Montana after you put your brother in a wheelchair. You're running from something, Cowboy. You don't want attention. But you're about to get a lot of it if you keep this up. Cole felt cold. Victor had done his homework. My past has nothing to do with this. Everything has to do with everything. You think you can save Sienna? You can't even save yourself, maybe not. But I can try. Victor leaned forward. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to back off. You're going to leave town. And Sienna is going to keep paying me. If you don't, things are going to get bad for everyone. And if I don't back off, then I make a phone call to Montana. I tell your family where you are. I tell them about the nice ranch you're working at. I tell them how you're playing hero while your brother can't walk. How do you think that will go? Cole felt like he had been punched. Victor was threatening to bring his family into this. To expose him. To destroy the small piece he had found. But then he thought about Sienna. About her tired eyes and brave heart. About how she had been fighting alone for 3 years. He thought about his brother in that wheelchair. About how Cole had been running for 2 years instead of facing his mistakes. Make your call, Cole said. Do whatever you want. But I'm not backing off. Victor's smile faded. You're making a big mistake. Maybe. But it's my mistake to make. Victor stood up. You'll regret this. He walked out. Cole's hands were shaking. He had just burned every bridge. Victor would call Montana. His family would know where he was. Everything he had been running from was about to catch up to him. But he did not regret it. Not for a second, Sienna came over, her face pale. She had seen the whole thing from across the diner. What did he say? Cole stood frozen in front of his cabin. His brother Jake sat in his wheelchair on the porch looking exactly as Cole remembered. Same dark hair, same sharp eyes. Except now there was something different in those eyes. Not anger, not hate, just sadness. How did you find me? Cole finally asked. Some guy named Victor called Mom. Told her where you were. Said you were making trouble. Jake wheeled himself forward a little. I drove down here myself. Took me 2 days. You drove here? By yourself. I'm in a wheelchair, Cole. I'm not helpless. Cole felt shame wash over him. That was exactly what he had been thinking. That Jake was broken. That Jake needed to be protected. That was why he had run away. Because he could not face what he had done. Why did you come? Cole asked quietly. Because you're my brother. Because Mom is worried sick. Because we haven't seen you in 2 years. Jake paused. And because I'm tired of you running away from me. I'm not running from you. Yes, you are. You've been running since the accident. You think I don't know that? Cole sat down on the porch steps. His legs felt weak. I put you in that wheelchair, Jake. How can you even look at me? It was an accident, Cole, a terrible, stupid accident. We were both drunk that night. I got in the car too. I'm as much to blame as you are. You weren't driving. No, but I didn't stop you either. We both made mistakes that night. But you're the only one who can't forgive himself. Cole put his head in his hands. 2 years of guilt came pouring out. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Jake wheeled over and put his hand on Cole's shoulder. I know, and I forgive you. I forgave you 2 years ago, but you need to forgive yourself. They sat in silence for a while. Then Jake said, So who's this Victor guy? And why is he calling our mother? Cole told him everything. About Sienna. About the debt. About standing up to Victor. Jake listened carefully. So you're trying to help this girl? Yes. And this Victor is threatening you? Yes. Good. Cole looked up with surprise. Good? Yeah, it means you finally found something worth fighting for. Something besides yourself and your guilt. Jake smiled. I want to meet her. This Sienna, you do? Of course. Any woman who makes my brother stop running is someone I need to meet. The next morning, Cole brought Jake to the diner. Sienna was working the early shift. When she saw Cole come in with Jake, her eyes went wide. Sienna, this is my brother Jake. Jake extended his hand. Nice to meet you. I've heard a lot about you. Sienna shook his hand, still looking confused. Your brother? But I thought that I was hiding from my family, I was? Jake drove down from Montana to find me. Because some charming fellow named Victor called our mother, Jake added. So technically I'm here because of you. Sienna looked horrified. I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. No, it's not, Jake said firmly. This is Victor's fault. And my brother's stubborn refusal to face his past. But we're working on that second part. Over coffee, Cole told Sienna about his conversation with Jake. About forgiveness. About starting to let go of guilt. Sienna listened with tears in her eyes. I'm glad he came, she said. You needed this. I know. Jake looked between them. So what's the plan? How do we take down this Victor guy? We? Cole asked. Yeah, we. You didn't think I drove all this way just to say hi, did you? I'm in this fight too now. Over the next few days, things moved quickly. Ray Torres, the lawyer, came down from Austin to meet with Sienna. He reviewed all her documentation and nodded approvingly. This is good, very good. You kept excellent records. He looked at Cole and Jake. I made some calls to the state police. They've had their eye on Victor for a while. But they needed evidence. This might be enough to start an investigation. How long will that take? Sienna asked. Could be weeks. Could be months. These things don't move fast. We don't have months, Cole said. Victor is escalating. He's threatening Sienna and her mother. Ray frowned. Then we need to move faster. I have an idea, but it's risky. What is it? Sienna asked. We set up a meeting with Victor. We record him making threats. We get him to admit on tape that he's been charging illegal interest rates. Then we take that recording straight to the state police. That's dangerous, Jake said. Victor isn't stupid. No, but he's arrogant. And arrogant men make mistakes. They spent the next 2 days planning. Ray got them a recording device small enough to hide. Sienna would wear it to the meeting. Cole and Jake would be nearby in case things went wrong. On Wednesday night, Sienna called Carlos and asked to meet with Victor. She said she wanted to discuss a payment plan. Carlos set up the meeting for Friday at the warehouse. Sienna was terrified. Cole could see it in her eyes, but she was also determined. You don't have to do this, he told her Thursday night. They were sitting in his truck outside her house. Jake had gone to get dinner, giving them privacy. Yes, I do. This is my chance to end this, to be free. But if something goes wrong, then you and Jake will be there. I trust you, Cole. Cole took her hand. Over the past 2 weeks, something had shifted between them. It was more than friendship now. It was something deeper. Something that scared Cole because he had not felt this way about anyone in years. When this is over, he said quietly, I want to take you to dinner. A real date. Not at the diner. Sienna smiled. I'd like that. Friday came too soon. Cole and Jake positioned themselves near the warehouse. Jake had brought binoculars from the ranch. They could see the entrance clearly. At 10 o'clock, Sienna arrived. She was wearing the recording device under her shirt. Cole's heart was pounding. This had to work. Sienna walked into the warehouse. Through the windows, Cole and Jake could see shadows moving. They waited. 5 minutes. 10 minutes, 15. Then they heard shouting. Something crashed. Jake grabbed Cole's arm. Something's wrong. Cole was already moving. He ran to the warehouse door and burst through. Inside, Victor had Sienna backed against the wall. Carlos and another man stood nearby. "You're wearing a wire, aren't you?" Victor was saying. "You think I'm stupid?" "Let her go," Cole said, his voice hard. Victor turned. "The cowboy, perfect. Now I can deal with both of you." Carlos moved toward Cole, but Jake suddenly wheeled through the door. He had something in his lap. "A gun." "Nobody moves," Jake said calmly. Everyone froze. Victor stared at Jake. "You're going to shoot me?"
In a wheelchair?
"If I have to." "My legs don't work, but my arms are fine. And I was in the army before the accident. I know how to shoot." Cole took advantage of the distraction. He moved quickly to Sienna and pulled her away from Victor. She was shaking but unhurt. "This is over, Victor," Cole said. "The police are already on their way. I don't hear any sirens. That's because they're doing this smart. They're surrounding the building right now." It was a bluff, but Victor did not know that. He looked around nervously. His men looked nervous too. Then they all heard it. Sirens in the distance, getting closer. Ray Torres had made the call as soon as Sienna entered the warehouse. The state police had been waiting for this opportunity. They came in fast, surrounding the warehouse. Within minutes, it was over. Victor and his men were arrested. The police found records in the warehouse, proof of loan sharking, extortion, and other crimes. Victor had been running a criminal organization for years. Sienna stood outside the warehouse watching them put Victor in the police car. She could not believe it. It was really over. Cole put his arm around her. "You did it." "We did it," she corrected. Jake wheeled up beside them. That was intense. "Can we go home now?" "I'm starving," they all laughed. The tension broke. For the first time in 3 years, Sienna felt light. The weight she had been carrying was gone. Over the next few weeks, things settled down. The investigation revealed that Victor had been scamming dozens of families. Sienna's debt was canceled. She got some of her money back, though not all of it. It was enough to start over. The town slowly changed their opinion of her. People started calling her Sienna again instead of Sin. Some apologized for how they had treated her. Others just quietly started being kind. Cole called his mother. He talked to his family for the first time in 2 years. It was hard, but it was good. He told them about Sienna, about Jake driving down to find him, about standing up to Victor. "I'm proud of you," his mother said. "You made a mistake 2 years ago, but you're making good choices now. That's what matters." Jake stayed in Texas for a month. He and Cole talked through a lot of old pain. They started to rebuild their relationship. It was not easy, but it was worth it. "I need to get back to Montana," Jake said eventually, "but I'll visit. And Cole, you should come home sometime too. When you're ready." "I will," Cole promised. And he meant it. Dutch offered to sell Riverside Ranch to Cole and Sienna. He wanted to retire and move to Austin to be near his daughter. "I can't afford to buy a ranch," Sienna said. "I can," Cole said. "I've got money saved from my rodeo days. And you can pay me back by working the ranch with me. We'll be partners." Sienna looked at him. "Partners?" "In everything." They bought the ranch together. It was hard work, long days, difficult challenges, but they faced everything side by side. 6 months after Victor's arrest, Cole took Sienna to dinner in Austin. A real date, just like he had promised. They got dressed up. They ate fancy food. They talked and laughed. At the end of the night, under the stars in the restaurant parking lot, Cole kissed her. It was their first real kiss. It felt like coming home. "I love you," he said. "I love you too," Sienna replied.